The Numbers Game with Gill Alexander on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
Before you make your next bet, be sure to visit VSIN.com to check the current betting splits data. This new feature gives you insights on where the money and bets are moving for every game. You'll be able to see where the public's betting based on the number of tickets and where the money does not match the public opinion. Data is available for money line, over, under, and against the spread bets. Betting splits, yet another way that VSIN is here to make you a smarter, better year-round. Check out today's betting splits for every game at VSIN.com. It's Gill Alexander. Jeff Parlay is here as well. By the way, crew, your Christmas gifts are here in studio. Pick them up. And your sweatshirt is here. Just let Ann know. Sorry, Primetime Action got them last week, and I slipped my mind. You get it, these last couple days. But Jeff, you wanted to say thank you to someone who got you a gift.
Yeah, this has been about a month odyssey tracking this thing down within the South Point. So Sam G, I'll go by, one of our listeners who you and I have met
Sam.
In the past.
Great guy.
Actually knew Wishnev
Yes.
from Pittsburgh.
A neighbor, almost.
Yes, an almost neighbor. So because he's a creative fella, Sam, came up with the Cleveland Browns Parlay 58 jersey.
That's awesome.
Which the Grover Cleveland producers.
There you go.
5 and 8. So, Sam, thank you very much. I'm very happy that after legitimately a multiple-week odyssey trying to track this thing down after it got delivered to the South Point, we were finally able to track it down. It was waiting for me this morning.
That's very kind of Sam.
It was.
There you go. We have that for a lifetime. Parlay 58 Cleveland Browns jersey. This gentleman who is kind enough to join us in studio is a multiple contest winner, and now I have it on one neat graphic in front of me so I can actually rattle them off. The winner of the Palms NFL Challenge back in the day, 8,500 entries. The winner of the Wynn Casino $100,000 single survivor. That was back in the day. Won the 2016 Stations Casino, the Division I NCAA Last Man Standing contest. Remember, finished second and fifth in Circa Millions last year. His only 2 entries. And then just to top it off this year, while it might not have been a great Circa Millions year for you, you won the Stations, or at least you chopped to the win with another team of the Stations Casino Last Man Standing NFL contest. Ladies and gentlemen, LVC, Las Vegas Chris. How you doing, Chris?
Good morning. And I just want to remind people I did have a partner,
You did.
Frank, for a period of time during that run also. So
How's Frank doing? Miss Frank.
Oh, I miss him too. I think he's doing okay. I saw him about a week or 2 ago.
And you did have a partner again this time too, correct? Did you? Have a partner?
Yeah, different kind of partner, but
Different kind of partner. Okay. Listen, so first of all, you ended up with the cleanest chop of your life. Explain that.
Well, Last Man Standing doesn't end specifically on a date, so there's no way to chop it if you get down to 2 people. So you can't hedge because you're not assured that the other person's going to lose. So you can get yourself in some real trouble trying to hedge that contest.
We're losing Chris's mic there for a second. Let's get Chris's mic back on.
Hello?
There you go. You're back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Being unable to hedge in that tournament or that contest is really difficult. So it wouldn't matter if I was playing a blind deaf mute. You've got to chop, because otherwise you have $150,000 on a single game, and who wants that? So.
And the other contestants saw it the same way.
Yeah, I actually met that person years ago. I connected him with the only other person in a college tournament the year he won. So I put the 2 together and they chopped. So that worked out really well.
For those who are just hearing Las Vegas Chris for the first time, we just had Jason Weingarten on the previous segment, and Jason just called Chris one of his betting role models. And last week on Primetime Action, we're sitting here before the show on Thursday night, and the legendary Roxy Roxborough comes into the studio. And I'm like, Roxy, how you doing? What are you doing here? And he explained he had a whole grocery list, and he sort of got sidetracked before he could get the grocery list. He was hanging out at the South Point. I said, why don't you come on and do a segment? And, so we got to talking, and I asked him a question about football betting, and inevitably it made its way to this gentleman to my right. Here's how it went. Football, you don't, so it's the NFL. We're obviously football crazy, right? All we do is talk about football. Sure. It does not, you once said something to me at Piero's, which I never forgot, and I always repeat it, once every few months I'll say, it's like Roxy said to me at Piero's one day. He said, Gill, no one beats the NFL.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
And what you mean is not a month, not a season, but long term. You
Yeah.
feel if people bet it pre-flop against the spread, they will get the worst of it eventually.
I don't know if they'll get the worst of it. I just think the lines are really efficient. Now, this year it's probably an outlier because of the COVID lines and the movement and the scheduling changes. LasVegasCris probably has proved me wrong because he's had probably about a 6-7 year run winning.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I've ever seen that, right?
Well, you could just go away and retire now.
You know, I was thinking about it, and you go through stages of life where you look back and you realize, well, that part of my life peaked and I didn't know it. When something like that happens, it's like
There's your
you
peak.
know it right. I can't. It's just so humbling and it's indescribable. I mean, that's when you know that there's absolutely nothing that can happen to you in the industry that will exceed that. And I was shocked to hear that, and it's just incredible. So it's all downhill from here.
No, it's wonderful when it's such praise from and such a wonderful not only legend in the business, but such a esteemed individual, maybe the highest of them all in Roxy Roxborough. So I want to get to some of these tweets that you've put out over time here in the last couple months because, first of all, I think your tweet game is getting better and better, and it resonates with a lot of people. And speaking of contests, here's one that you put out. You said Monday. This is sort of the thought process, Chris's brain during a week. Monday, laughing to myself, finally a week of so many extra games available for contest, we'll have to whittle it down to 5. And then by Saturday, you said, expletive, I need a few more games to get to 5. Geez, I still need to select another. How the hell am I on those? Look long, look wrong.
Well, this season is just atrocious. It's a write-off. It's been very difficult, and factoring in all this COVID stuff it's unbearable. It's 24/7. It's always something, and I joke about it. I'm ground zero. I'm patient zero for the gambling community. As soon as I bet a game, that team is guaranteed to get COVID. It's uncanny.
That's been your story.
Regression, there's no such thing with me. It's every game. It's unbelievable. So this season has been just so wacky, so bizarre. It hasn't followed true to form in the least. And this COVID, boy, I just hope it goes away so we can get back to business.
Oh, you and me both, brother. The ultimate from my standpoint. How about this one? Excellent circa records this year. You tweeted this a few weeks back. Someone at 68% today likely has no chance to win the top prize. Someone at 67% is certainly in position to drop out of the money. Just a testament to the size of the pools at this point?
Yeah, I should have taken a photo because what I really wanted to say is that basically somebody sitting there in 15th place in that window isn't going to make the money. One of the at least one or two of those people, there's too many people directly behind them. At least a couple of those people are going to fall out of the money, and that's incredible. I mean,
I don't want to put it this way because we love everyone who's running a contest, but most of us are mere mortals. Most of us are not you. Have these gotten so big? Not the survivors, but let's say the handicapping ones. Have they gotten so big that it's almost ridiculous to play? Or is it enough for people to say, well, maybe I'll be the one who has 69 or 70% in a given year?
Well, I think it's going to be extremely important that there's a pivot with contests. I don't think you can. It would be nice to just have something like we had with the Super Contest that goes on for 15 years and then something changes. I think there's going to have to be changes right away. There's just too many people involved, and these are becoming kind of lotteries. I mean, it's probably better to discuss when they're over and done and it's off season, so to speak.
And you also, and I'll speak for you. You also don't want that to come off in any way disparaging, right? Because it's like we all have enjoyed these contests. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the nature. I mean, that's what poker became, and you can just tweak some things and make things a little different, I believe, or there's different types of contests that I think would be much more interesting, and I think we'll get to that point.
Any hint of what kind of contest you're talking about?
Oh, I you know what? I don't know what can get approved through gaming or not, and what the logistics of having the option of choosing how many games you'd like to use in a given week. If that possibility would meet the standards of both.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think
That would completely change the dynamic. Yeah.
that would completely change the dynamic. And I honestly believe the last man standing format is actually the best format out there, because I don't like the lottery aspect of, well, when is the 17-point favorite going to lose aspect, you know?
More with Las Vegas Chris. Going to ask him about bad beats and the skill sets needed to be a serious bettor. He's got a list. Next, a numbers game. VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on a numbers game, proudly brought to you by BetMGM Nevada. Don't forget, sign up for a PlayCard debit MasterCard and get paid faster than a paper check with direct deposit. Always be ready to roll with PlayCard. Visit playcard.com today to apply. Subject to card activation and ID verification. Terms and costs apply. Card issued by MetaBank N.A. Member FDIC. It's Gill Alexander, Las Vegas Chris. Multiple Las Vegas contest winner, handicapping, football that is. Kind enough to join us in studio once again. Love having you in here, man. Appreciate it. And we're just going through some of your things you've randomly tweeted over the last couple months. We were just talking off air. You never know what's going to resonate with people and what's not. Here's one, and this has to do with bad beats. When you bet poorly coached bad teams with obvious deficiencies, you're responsible for putting yourself in a situation to have a bad beat. Bad beats happen more often to bad teams. The better teams find a way to pull it out more often than the bad teams. That's part of the handicap.
Yeah, well, isn't that so true?
I think so.
It's really such a simple comment, because there was just one day where these people were just going on, and it's like, well, wait a minute. This is the same team. I think it was the Chargers, actually. I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah.
Keep on doing the same thing and expecting a different result?
I'm going to send you a screenshot of when I had the Chargers power rank number 1 from early October. I'm going to send you that as a gift to you, Chris. Here, enjoy this.
They were never in the top 10.
Okay, so here's one. Skill set update for the serious bettor. Now, you had a bunch of these. Handicapper, okay. Fortune teller, I assume you mean about COVID. Medical fundamentals, maybe that's the COVID one. Disease specialist, mathematician, accountant, psychologist, 25-hour availability, isolation comfort. What do you mean by that?
You have to be willing to just isolate.
And supported by your loved ones.
Right,
Yes,
right.
I like that one. Vacationless, flex family, technology expert, networking, info sourcing, historian, weatherman, multitasker.
Yeah, that's a good start.
It's a good start. Yeah.
It's, and the comedy of that is that was a well-received tweet, and I didn't have my Grammarly working for whatever reason, and then some COVID news hit, and I sent it out with like almost every spelling error known to man, because I couldn't see what I was typing because I was blind at the time. It was just comical. So, but and that's just the start of the list. It really is. I mean, I don't know how people with families and kids really do what a lot of people do, the time commitments, the sacrifices. I don't make appointments with anybody. I mean, I can't make appointments with people the next day, because it actually nags you in the back of your mind that, I got to be there at this time, because you want to be there. And inevitably, every single time something comes up. Trust me, when I've got a free, crystal clear
Nothing
Monday
happens.
with nothing to do,
Nothing happens.
some way, somehow, it's 10:30 at night, and I'm looking for breakfast. Seriously, I'm not joking. And then some of the busy days end up being, you're like, get the jitters. Well, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be busy all day. What's going on?
This is another one about contest. I remember when you tweeted this. I want to say it might have been in reaction to something we did, but I'll ask you. Contests are personal and should be played any freaking way someone wants to play them and without ridicule. They're supposed to be fun, but they get stressful. Everyone makes wrong moves. The lottery element ensures great moves get punished and ignorant moves rewarded.
Well, no, that was in response with people that want to lecture and ridicule and just belittle and make people feel bad for what they're doing in their contest.
No.
And I just think that that's ridiculous. It's your money, and sometimes you want to go by your feel. And if that's what you want to do, then that's okay. And just there's nothing wrong with trying to help people and say, hey, think about this option or these options, or you may not want to do that. And that's okay. But, you don't sit there and call people names and ridicule
Is that
them.
Twitter, though? I mean, is that what you're talking about? Like, because Twitter's,
Well, I've heard people just make disparaging comments, and I just think it's painfully unfair because it's bad enough. The time you spend, the money you spend, the dreams you have that some way, somehow you're going to win it. It's a real letdown.
Oh.
It's bad. It's a shock to the system. There's a lot of people that contact me, and I'm like, my number one thing is, listen, just relax. And that goes to the previous tweet you read with the 67, 68% people.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you were in the top 8, you're not going to win. So resign yourself that you're not going to get life-changing money, okay? So get the nerves out of the way. It's not going to happen, and have fun and relax. And I honestly think that's why, in fact, that's why I know I won Last Man Standing. I was out of bullets. I had 1 bullet left because you get the 5 entries, week 3. And I knew I was dead meat, so I didn't care. I was like, okay, put a pick in, put a pick in, put a pick in. And then before I know it.
Because you were down to 1.
Yeah. So I figured I was going to be out. I was out of college like week 2, and I was down to 1, week 3 in NFL.
So this is interesting, though, because I sort of would say this about Survivor, too. There's almost a clarity to only having 1 entry left.
Yeah, having 2 was a bad mistake. You know what? If it's the only thing you're going to do, it's one thing. But you take for granted these cushions when you have multiple entries going.
Yes.
For example, last year with Last Man Standing, I had 4 of the remaining 20. Poof, all gone. 1 week. So you don't know what's going to happen, but if you're down to 1, boy, you're really taking it a little bit more seriously and a little bit more concentration, and that cushion is not there for you anymore.
How many entries would you? So this is the ultimate question. How many entries would you buy for Last Man Standing next year? How many entries would you buy for Survivor? Would you still, despite all that we're saying? So in other words, because I always say, I go, listen, if you have more than 1 entry, by definition, if you play the others differently, you're not playing the others what you would feel optimally, right?
Right.
But on the other hand, there is this, the randomness of having perhaps 2 left longer than most others exists. So in the end, what do you end up doing next year?
You know what? I'd like to see if they change the format on Survivor. I believe that the 2 short weeks change the whole. You're basically essentially changing the whole format of the contest.
Oh, for sure.
So,
but is that a horrible thing, or does, in other words, it adds much more luck to the calculus of the whole thing, right? Because there's only 3 games in those pockets, right? So you have to, but there's also the angle you could take, which is, but that makes it more strategic, right? The fact that you have to plan your season around those 2 road bumps.
I do like that, but when we won the win contest, they had a really good idea. They ran it the same way, but you could use any team any week. But what they did was week 1 and 2, all the games are available. Then they started clipping the high point spread games.
Oh, interesting.
So weeks 3 and 4, they dropped the top 2. Then weeks 5 and 6, they dropped 2 more. So halfway through the season, sometimes you're not seeing a 7-point spread to choose from.
Well,
So
I don't know if I like that better because even with the 13, 14-point spreads, trust me, I know from last year, right? Losing on a 17-point spread.
wouldn't it be interesting if Survivor next year dropped off they're always dropping off the highest spread every week or the 2 highest spreads because it's getting ridiculous. How many double-digit games do we have this week alone?
I think at least 4, I believe we have.
Isn't it more than that?
Might be.
But we've had weeks of like 6 double-digit games. It's just ridiculous.
You know what? I'm going to go the other way. I actually think that contest is perfect. I really do. Like, I mean, we can quibble. Your points are all valid, but I don't think anybody's going to be 100% happy with any particular format that they go with. Some people might quibble with what you just outlined there. I think ultimately I ended up even though I lost, right? I ended up not minding the Thanksgiving, Christmas thing because I'm like, well, it kind of makes you plan differently. And yeah, it would suck if you lost that week, but you know it from the outset anyway.
I think the concept of having a point spread elimination contest is exponentially more interesting because it's a real lottery aspect of when a huge favorite's going to go down, and you can do everything perfectly.
Oh, trust me, I
for
know.
12 weeks, 14 weeks, and 17-point favorite just doesn't show up, or COVID hits, or just some nonsense.
Too soon, Chris. Too soon.
But every single week, versus the point spread, there's always tension. You don't get any free pass weeks. Every single pick is tension-filled.
You're amazing, man. Let's do this more often after the season when you have more time. Or whenever you feel like it. You're always welcome.
When it's warmer, I would have never came in if I knew it was going to be 37.
Sorry,
I don't
to
put the top up.
Sorry to inconvenience you. Las Vegas Chris, everybody, at Las Vegas Chris on Twitter, CRIS. Thank you, sir, as always. Michael Lombardi next. Numbers Game VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.